Good morning. Welcome. Yes, good morning. Welcome both in the sanctuary and online to the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, Florida. It is September 11th. My name is Ben Atherton-Zeman, and I am the minister here. I am so excited to bring you today's worship service entitled "Abortion Bans Are Against My Religion," along with our worship associate, Ell Maldonado.
Thanks, Ben. We are a people of many faiths, or many beliefs, but we share a common faith, that what we do in this world matters, and that we are connected to one another and to our planet. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your journey, you are welcome here. We have 3 announcements today. First, we will have a special congregational meeting right after worship here in the sanctuary for the purpose of electing the search team for our next minister.
And some of you have brought up questions, well, how long are you the minister for? So I have a contract that extends, I'm just beginning my second year of a contract that I have with our Board of Trustees, and I'm excited to have this year of working together with you and hopefully more. Our second announcement is about next week's service. It is a question box service, so I will answer questions that you submit to me. Thank you for all who have done so already. Please submit them and keep them coming to minister@uustpete.org.
Finally, we'd like to continue our volunteer appreciations. Today's appreciation is for Sabina von Auloch. Sabina works hard.
Wait, 1 sec. Hey, Sabina, can you come in for a sec? Thank you. Hi, Sabina. Please continue.
Okay. I will. Sabina works hard on the social justice team, buildings and grounds, and the Friday night sunset supper, and so much more. She's also a part of the team that brought us today's air conditioning. So, the staff wanted to announce the formation of the Sabina Fan Club. Thank you, Sabina.
Thanks, Elle. I want to give a special welcome to any newcomers. If you want a church where we believe that abortion is health care, that women's rights are human rights, and that feminism is for everyone, I have good news. You may have found your church home. So if you are new to UU St. Pete, or even relatively new, can you give a wave and we can wave back? Hello, wavers. If you want, you don't have to, and you haven't done it before, you can stand up or as you're willing and able, and say who you are and maybe what brought you here. And then what I'll do is I'll listen very, very carefully, and I probably won't hear you, but what I do hear, I will repeat, and it will go out to the YouTube audience. Would anyone be willing to introduce themselves?
Hi, I'm Universalist. I visited UU years ago in Boston, and then in Melbourne, where I live. I'm here today with my friend Linda, and I like what you guys do, and that's what I have.
Wonderful. Lagos here with your friend Linda. It's good to have you. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Some members of Charlotte, North Carolina. You are here. Paul, was it? And Dawn, who have been together for 32 years, but then it was corrected to something else. Good to have you. Congratulations. Yeah, in the back. Fantastic. I think I heard Vonda from Panama City. Arlene, not even close. It's good to have you here, Arlene. Anyone else? Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Bailey. Yes. For those of you online wondering why they're clapping, that is Bailey and Cheyenne and Megan from WAMP, Women's Advocacy. I knew the Pinellas part, but Movement, Women's Advocacy Movement of Pinellas, of course, WAMP. And they've been so kind as to bring a table, and they're staffing their table, so please stop by their table for coffee hour. Thanks for being here. Who else wants to say hi? Yeah. Fantastic. Welcome back. I've been on and off at this church for 42 years, is that what you said? And haven't been since pre-COVID. Well, since you were 5 then. It's nice. It's good to have you back. Are you introducing your stuffed animal or are you just waving them? Just waving. Stuffed animal waves. Anyone else? All right. Let's take a moment to greet our neighbor, but remember, get consent if you're going to shake their hand or anything like that, and thank you all for wearing masks. This, they want to talk.
Our flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It is a symbol of hope, the sacred, the quest for truth, the warmth of community, the light of reason, and so much more. When Ben lights our chalice, I invite you to say our covenant out loud. The words can be found in the text chat if you're on YouTube. Feel free to follow along with the 2 hand movements. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now, please rise as you are willing and able for our first hymn, From All That Dwell Below the Skies. It's number 381 in the gray hymnal.
You'll recognize the tune when you hear it.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue.
You may be seated. Now we come to the time in our worship service for joys, sorrows, and concerns. The service is being brought to you, as we said, by YouTube Live. So those of you in our online audience, please type your joys and sorrows into the text chat. And if you have one to submit to me during the week, email me at that same email. If you have one today, there are cards in front of you that some of you may have already filled out, and wave your card in the air if it's ready, and hopefully one of our greeters will see it. Or if it's my mom, she'll just bring it up to me. Or Rebecca will bring it up to me. Thank you. Right now, young Eli will place a stone. Will Eli place a stone? Eli will not place a stone. Eli, oh, you still up for this, Eli?
We'll just give him a little bit of transition time.
I'll say the first stone really slowly, and Eli, thank you for volunteering to place a stone in the water for each joy, sorrow, and concern that was submitted this week.
You good, Eli? All right. I'll start, and then when you get up here, you can do it. First, a stone of joy from one of our YouTube watchers who wishes to remain nameless. This person wants to thank those people who bring the worship service to YouTube.
A stone of joy for all our members who still have COVID, but their symptoms are getting better. And some of you, I know, mostly you're online, have now tested negative. Yay.
A stone of joy from John Atherton. His husband, James Mack, got his Medicaid card.
All right, James. Big stone of joy from Danny Scripesek. All her tests came back and she is cancer-free. Congratulations, Danny.
And a story of let me try that again. A stone of joy from Reverend Ben, Susan Bernor, Gregory Mize, Rich Randolph, and many others who worked hard to organize the Emma's Revolution concert right here on Friday night. Many of you were here. It was our first fundraising event since COVID began, and it raised about $2,000 for UU St. Pete.
A stone of sorrow for all who lost their lives on September 11th, 21 years ago today.
And a stone of joy for, forgive me, is it Joanna or Johanna? Johanna, thank you. Johanna Zeman for being here.
Any other cards? So let's, no, they have their no signs already. Are there any other cards? All right. So let's put one final stone for those joys, sorrows, and concerns that remain in our hearts, perhaps too tender to be yet spoken out loud. And let's take a moment of silence together. The mystery is that we are connected even when we feel apart. So let us rejoice in our beloved community that makes of the many one. So may it be. I'd like to invite all the children to come forward for Time for All Ages. We get to sing a song together. have a seat. Got your no signs? Good, good. Good to see you again. Good to see you. Okie doke. How many? This good crowd today. Can we make it so that the YouTube audience sees everyone, all the adults and all the kids? Can you smush out or can you smush in or something? If they smush out, Kelly, are they off the? They're not off the thing. Well, how many of you can touch your nose?
Can you touch your nose?
Oh, that was a little slow. Okay, how many of you can touch your ear?
Let's see.
How many of you can touch your foot? How many can touch your nose? Foot? All right, why did you do that? Why were you touching your foot and your nose? Because I said so. Well, I have good news. You don't have to do anything I say. You don't have to touch your body in any way at all. Your body's nobody's body but yours. Or, paraphrased, my body's nobody's body but mine. That's the title of the song that we're going to sing. It's by Peter Alsop, and he was kind enough to let us sing it. And we have some dance moves to go with it, and anyone can join in on the chorus. It's my body's nobody. You can do this. You don't have to, but my body's nobody's body but mine. And then you go, you run your own body, let me run mine. Unless you have a sign that says no in several languages, in which case you can go, you put out your sign, good, good, good. Let me run mine, good, good. Now let's sing it together with those moves. My body's nobody's body but mine. You run your own body, let me run mine. All right, that was okay. Do you want to stand up? I think it'd be more fun. Yeah, come on, stand up. You don't want to, you don't have to. Everyone who wants to, stand up. They took the lesson. So, y'all have to make up for that by doing the dance move with us as we sing together. My body's nobody's body but mine. You run your own body, let me run mine.
Okay. My nose was
Microphone.
It doesn't work.
Oh, handheld too.
You're going to have...
We'll trade off.
Oh, all right. Was on for a second.
All right, let me just...
Why don't we start...
Let's do that over again. Handheld 2 is struck once again. I love you, handheld 2. You're not reliable. My body's nobody's body but mine. You run your own body. Let me run mine.
My nose was made to sniff and to sneeze, to smell what I want and to pick when I please. My lungs were made to hold air when I breathe. I am in charge of just how much I need. My body's nobody's
body but mine. You run your own body. Let me run mine. My legs were made to dance me around, to walk and to run and to jump up and down. My mouth was made to blow up a balloon. I can eat, kiss, and spit. I can whistle a tune. Let's whistle.
No one knows my body better than me. It tells me, let's eat. It tells me, go pee. Don't hit me or kick me. Don't push and don't shove. Don't hug me too hard when you show me your love.
Sometimes it's hard to say no and be strong. When those no feelings come, then I know something's wrong. 'Cause my body's mine from my head to my toe. Please leave it alone when you hear me say no. Very good. My body's nobody's body but mine.
You run your own body, let me run mine. Thank you all for singing. Thank you, kids. All right. And let us sing them out as they go to their classrooms. Thank you, singers. Go now in peace, go now in peace.
Today's guest speaker has served as the president of the National Organization for Women, or NOW. Now, I've been a card-carrying NOW member for all of my adult life, and when I knew Toni best, she was on the board of NOW as the Southern Regional Director, and previously served as Florida NOW President and Treasurer. She lives right here in Pinellas County and accepted my invitation to share her story after I saw her at the Reproductive Choice rally at St. Pete City Hall, sponsored by WAMP. I am thrilled to welcome Toni Van Pelt to UU St. Pete.
Thank you so much, Ben, and thank you for inviting me, and thank you for allowing me to share my story with you. This has been an unexpected pleasure. This is really a cool service going on here. So, as we know, this is the first time in the history of the country the Supreme Court has gone back on a constitutional right. The Supreme Court and politicians have no business interfering in the decisions between a woman and her doctor. No one has the right to tell us what to do. We have the right, we have the power and the freedom to make decisions for our bodies and our lives. I'm here to tell you my family's story, what it was like before Roe was decided in 1973, in the hope to inspire each of you to tell of your own family's reproductive health care story. There is no shame in abortion. Every circumstance is different. There is no one size fits all when it comes to reproductive health care. I was born in 1947 and I'm 74 years old. My attitudes were profoundly influenced during my childhood by the trauma the women in my family experienced around pregnancy because of the interference of state and church. I was 7 years old when my mom delivered her fourth child. It was a very tense time in our home. My mother's life was endangered by her pregnancy. She had been told by her doctors after the delivery of her second child that they could not guarantee her health or her life if she had any more children. But my mother had converted to Catholicism, one of the prices of marriage demanded by the church because it was the religion of my father's family. Birth control was out of the question. Worried about the life of their parents, their patients, her doctors finally decided to take steps to safeguard my mother's life by sterilizing her after delivery of her fourth child. In those days, a woman could only be sterilized immediately after a delivery, and only if the hospital board and the state of Ohio, where we lived, gave their approval. 2 doctors had to appear before the board and certify her condition. My dad then had to appear before a state judge with the hospital's representative to seek permission for the surgery. All this while my mom was being rolled into delivery. There was no chance that my dad would have enough time to get to the delivery room to support my mother and be a part of the birth of their child. I will never forget thinking my mother's life was the most important thing in the world. I was only 7 years old and I needed my mom, and I knew it was wrong for the church and the state to have a say in our family affairs. When I was in high school, I saw my girlfriends disappear. We didn't know at the time they were whisked away in the night because they were pregnant and their families made them give their babies up for adoption. They were shamed and shunned by family members. The father stayed in school as if nothing happened, and it didn't for them. Many of my friends suffered for years not knowing what happened to their children. Once I graduated from high school, I moved to Los Angeles to live with two of my friends who were pregnant and unmarried to support them. Their families had enough money to send them far away from Ohio to live in an apartment. But the letters they received from their families during their pregnancy were ugly and heartbreaking. They delivered their children, had them taken away for adoption at their parents' insistence, and flown home. I knew it was wrong. This was 1966. Other options, such as marrying outside of one's faith or legal abortion, were not acceptable to society at that time. I found myself pregnant when I was 21 years old in 1969. One of my best friends gave me a phone number provided by her girlfriend's dad, a doctor. She had suffered through an illegal abortion the year before. It was no easy task for a woman to find the $400 cost of the abortion and to drive across town alone to the east side of Cleveland to an unfamiliar location. A woman dressed as a nurse took me upstairs into the bedroom in her home, had me undress, lie down on a bed, and inserted a tube into my cervix and uterus. On the way home, a driver ran a red light and broadsided my car. I was thrown out of the car, smashing my head against the curb as the car wrapped around a telephone pole. Although I was badly injured, I refused to go in an ambulance to the hospital because I was terrified of being arrested. I landed in the hospital the next day, ill, in pain, confused, and frightened. Once out of the hospital, desperate, I made contact with the abortionist and was sent to an apartment. Two women there had me climb into a bathtub of very hot water and kept pouring more water they were boiling on the stove. It's all I can, or perhaps choose, to remember from that horrible night. I did abort a few days later, alone in my apartment, into the bathroom toilet. It was relatively easy, just blood and tissue. However, I've never taken a bath since. I was just so relieved that it was over. A few months later, I received a phone call. The young woman on the other end was asking for the phone number of an abortionist. She had gotten my name at one of the nightclubs we frequented to dance. She sounded so young and frightened, I asked her to come to my apartment to talk it over. I wanted to be sure she knew what she was doing. It is only now, as I write this, that I wonder why I took such a huge risk. At the time, I never considered it. I gave her the nurse's number I had. Shortly afterwards, I was arrested for aiding and abetting an illegal abortion, a felony charge. The young woman had wound up in the hospital. Intimidated by the police, she told them what she knew of me. The police appeared at my place of employment and tried to browbeat me into giving up the name of the abortionist. They came on 2 separate occasions. Then one snowy, cold night at 10 in the evening near the end of my shift at the Cleveland Hopkins Airport, they came a 3rd night. When I still refused to give them any information, they arrested me. I was jailed overnight on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Their plan was to keep me in jail until Monday so I would cave in and give them the name and details of the abortionist. Luckily, one of my roommates at the time contacted my folks, who knew a judge from the old neighborhood. He came to court Thanksgiving morning to set bail and free me. When I appeared at the trial weeks later, the judge ruled the charge aborted and found me innocent. Why? Because the newspapers and television were full of pictures of women who were dying in hospitals around the country. My record was purged. When I was in my 20s, I had my only child. During the pregnancy, I had a life-threatening complication. After my daughter was born, it was discovered I had cancer. There was a long history in my family of women dying from cancer in their 20s if they did not have their uterus removed. The doctor would not give me the operation I needed, a hysterectomy, because I was only 26, and afterwards would no longer be able to bear children. My doctor used a procedure, cauterization, repeatedly, that caused me splitting headaches and did nothing to stop the advance of the disease. The prolonged delay in proper treatment endangered my life. I was in a panic. I brought my life partner with me to convince the doctor that we didn't want any more children. My mother talked to my doctor. Finally, my grandmother flew in from Ohio and went with me to convince him. She asked the doctor how many children he had. He answered 12. She asked him his religion. He was a Catholic. My grandmother promptly took me to a Jewish doctor who operated on me within 4 weeks. I almost died because my doctor refused to honor my wishes and beliefs because he did not consider my life as important as his religious and personal beliefs. Interwoven throughout my own experiences are those of the women I have had the privilege of knowing throughout my life's journey. Women I went to school with, worked with, traveled with, and met on trips in foreign countries. We women suffer much the same consequences of the draconian, patriarchal laws that are enforced in our societies worldwide. My life's work has been defined by these experiences. I was meant to work for women's rights. My life's journey was set on this road when I was 7 years old. I'm in my 70s now, and I have every intention of continuing to stand up and speak out for a woman's right to self-autonomy until the day women are able to make the best decisions for themselves without interference from religion or government. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Toni. You were just standing up, but please rise again in body or spirit for hymn 346, Come Sing a Song With Me by Carolyn McDade, herself a feminist. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. You may be seated. It's such an honor to have you here, Toni Van Pelt. I was fangirling a bit when I thought Toni was out of the room. Oh, Toni Van Pelt's in our church, and then she walks around from behind there, and I'm like, oh, you're right there. I grew up as a young adult in the feminist movement, going to NOW conferences, to conferences for the National Organization for Women, and in so many ways, I was raised by mothers of the feminist movement, like you, Toni. We were talking about Patricia Ireland, Molly Yard, all the inspirational presidents of NOW, feminists, intersectional feminists, bell hooks, so many who have mothered me as a feminist, and I am thrilled that my own mother is here, who actually physically mothered me is here. My mom, Johanna Elizabeth Zeman, is here for the next couple of weeks. And she birthed me in 1966, which was, I guess, 2 years before your abortion, Toni. And my parents were not married when Mom became pregnant with me. And abortion was one of the options that were discussed, is my understanding. I was there at the time, but I don't remember much. Both of my parents are Catholic, and my mother says she could feel me inside her wanting to live. This morning she told me it was a conversation between myself and her. So she chose to have me, for which I'm grateful. But even so, my mother should have had the option of a safe, legal abortion, as should have you, as should every person then and now who need abortion care. Lucinda can tell you I have plenty of political t-shirts in my closet, many of them for reproductive freedom, many of them for feminist and intersectional feminist causes. My latest one I got from them, it's a WAMP shirt, Women's Advocacy Movement of Pinellas County. But weirdly, one of the most controversial of the shirts I wear just says the two words, trust women. When I'm wearing it, a lot of men want to make a joke. Nope, can't trust women, they say, laughing. And it maybe seems funny the first couple of times, but not when you hear it about 100 times. And then when I think about it, the humor derives itself from the idea that women will break your heart, will hurt you, are untrustworthy. I have a new young friend named Cassie Santella, and I want to thank Cassie for educating me about the use of language when it comes to people who need abortion care. Cassie, who is trans, urges us to think about people who do not identify as women, who also need such care. Unitarian Universalist Reverend Eric David Carlson says the anti-choice movement is based on flawed morality. It's easy, he says, to think about potential life, about the innocence of that which is yet to be. It's much harder, he says, to think about and engage with people who are already here, people who are not in a position to care for or even carry to term their pregnancies. To think about the babies that are already coming into this world, into poverty and pollution, amidst oppression, white supremacy, and climate catastrophe. Babies who did not have access to prenatal care, even that they needed, even when they were legally protected in their mother's womb. Those babies who need formula and medicine and vaccines. Those parents who needed child care, paid leave, and medical care themselves. Real humans with complicated lives and needs are more challenging to defend than potential life. And this reminds me of the work I did before ministry, when I'd helped victims and survivors of sexual and domestic violence. When those sexual and domestic violence survivors were given sympathy, it was often because they were the embodiment of the perfect victim. But if they got angry in court instead of sad or scared, if they were not grateful recipients of the services we and others provided for them, if they were not perfect parents attentive all the time to their children, if they were not white, I had a much harder time helping them get justice. But imperfect people need protection, need kindness, need grace, need care. Imperfect people need safe and legal abortion care. People shouldn't have control over their own abortions because they'll always make the right decision. They should have control over their abortions because it's their decision to make. We don't have to agree with their decision. We just have to support their right to make it. We don't have to think alike to love alike. 2 weeks ago, many of you saw in the news, a group waved Nazi flags and anti-abortion signs as motorists drove under the Pinellas Trail Bridge. In a video, the group can be seen holding the flags and banners. One of the banners said, "End abortion, save white babies." And earlier this summer, hundreds of Tampa residents found Nazi flyers on their porches, yards, and driveways. And another time, a group of demonstrators in Tampa waved swastikas along with the state flag of Florida and flags that read, "DeSantis Country." Now make no mistake, these events are part of the emboldened and deadly neo-Nazi and white supremacist movements in the United States. White supremacists use similar symbols and language in Charlottesville at the 2017 Unite the Right rally, in the 2018 attack on the Tree of Life Synagogue, and during the January 6th insurrection at the United States Capitol building. The gunman charged with killing 10 black people in a racial mass shooting at a Buffalo supermarket in May of this year described himself as a white supremacist and anti-Semite. According to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, the leaders of today's neo-Nazi and white supremacist organizations are not Adolf Hitler, and America is not Germany. But they say in order to understand their agenda, it is vital to understand the history of these code words, symbols, and ideologies. The Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg believes that racist, anti-Semitic words and symbols, which are often combined with anti-abortion slogans, cause harm and fuel further violence. Our first principle as a denomination, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, compels us to speak out against such violence. And our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part, calls us to remember the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., "An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." The presence of neo-Nazi symbols and anti-abortion messages in our community is therefore not only a threat to the Jewish community and not only a threat to those who seek and need abortion care, it's a threat to every community member, especially those on the margins. Some of you know that Martin Niemöller was a German Lutheran pastor during World War II. By his own admission, he and his fellow Gentile German pastors did not speak out adequately when the Nazis came to power. Pastor Niemöller's translated words are, "First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, I did not speak out because I was not Jewish. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Friends, they're coming for those who need abortion care. We have to speak out as a religious community. So let us proclaim that it is not abortions, but abortion bans that are against our religion. Let's side with love and side with those who need such care. Let us live out our principles as Unitarian Universalists and as human beings. Let us side with groups like WAMP and the National Organization for Women as they work tirelessly for reproductive freedom and reproductive justice. No one should have to go through what Toni Van Pelt went through, yet we are poised to return to those exact scenarios she described. At this point, some of you might be thinking, it's a bit of a stretch from abortion bans to Nazism. But I was not surprised when I heard about the signs on the Pinellas Trail Bridge: end abortion, save white babies. It seems logically consistent that those who would deny the rights to people to control their own bodies would also deny the rights of anyone not white, not Gentile, not cisgender, not heterosexual. Their theology is a theology of perfection and punishment, where such perfection is a standard of white, a standard of Aryan. And our theology is a theology where we celebrate diversity and intersectionality instead of fearing it. Our theology is a theology of kindness, of grace, of loving acceptance. We neither expect nor do we offer perfection, instead holding and embracing the messiness of relationship, of humanity. Their theology holds to rigid boundaries, including gender and racial boundaries, some desirable and some despised. Our theology centers real bodies of real people with real needs, not some perfect, imagined, unborn person. Our theology centers black bodies, indigenous bodies, LGBTQIA bodies, fat bodies, aging bodies, disabled bodies, pregnant bodies, bodies that need abortion care. We all come from the four sacred things of earth, air, water, and fire. And back there we shall go. But before we return, we have a chance to side with love. Every day, we have a choice and a chance to side with love. My body's nobody's body but mine. You run your body. Let me run mine. And religious communities historically are not usually on the right side of the reproductive freedom issue. The most vocal religious voices on abortion speak against reproductive justice and reproductive freedom, rather than speaking against abortion bans. Our voices must be louder than theirs. Our voices must remind the world that giving birth should not be controlled by religious leaders, not be controlled by government, not be controlled by the courts, not be controlled by men. Cheyenne tells me that when she and her WAMP colleagues volunteer at local abortion clinics, there are often clergy on the other side. These clergy and those who are with them try to confront people as they're pulling in with the cars, Cheyenne tells me, and they'll hold large graphic pictures of aborted fetuses. I asked Cheyenne, are there clergy on our side? And she said, no visible clergy anyway. So I'll be joining them the next time they do this. Because a generation from now, I don't want to be writing that letter of apology for not doing enough like Niemöller did. And honestly, I may know some of the clergy on the other side. I may have worked with them on other topics. I may have prayed with them. I may have worshiped with them. I may respect them, but on that day, I will not side with them. On that day, I will side with WOMP. I will side with Toni Van Pelt. On that day and every day, I will side with those seeking abortion care and needing abortion care. On that day and every day, I will side with love. Will you be there with me?
Now, let us remember our connection to one another, and let us not forget our contributions to support the means to those connections. The link to give online is in the description box below your screen if you're on YouTube. You can also donate through the Fanco Faith Engagement mobile app or on our website under the Giving tab at uustpete.org, or by sending a check to the church office. In the sanctuary, our ushers will now pass the offering bowls. If you are a newcomer here, please refrain from making a donation. This service is our gift to you, and your presence is your gift to us. Many thanks.
Now feel free to follow along with the hand gestures as Ell extinguishes our chalice. The words to UU St. Pete's traditional chalice extinguishing are in your order of service, and online they are in the text chat. The hand movers are 1, 2, and 3, and then you do this again, then you do that. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. I held it together till the very end. After this postlude by Aaron, I invite you to join me outside as we place this sign in front of our church, and then we can, yes, it's a beautiful sign. The Florida Interfaith Coalition for Reproductive Health and Justice had these signs made. So we are not the only ones speaking out on this issue. Then we'll come back in for coffee and our special congregational meeting. Blessings.
on your way somewhere?
So do money. What do you mean?
Oh, to carry this out, we need to do the money back. See if Christine can help me. Thank you. I need to carry this to the court to watch him do that.
Just this, Kelly?
This or the computer, yeah, just that.
Can you get everything else? Because I can leave my bag here. You good?
I
Okay.
got this.
All right. I'll follow you.
We're gonna go meet him outside.
Giving this back because they asked for it. Thank you.
If you could just point it towards
Oh,
him.
okay.
I lost connection with the meeting, so this might not
Okay.
even happen. Oh, perfect.
Got it?
You
Okay.
nailed it.
All right.
I am impressed with you.
Give Ben's looking for the thumbs up.
I don't have my. Do you have a team?
I love him. Tell Ben to just stay put. That's me. Oh yeah, there's someone else that's taking pictures too, but let me take some photos here. Now they're taking